to go to with,
Yeah.
yeah, I had nobody to go to for, any help. And he and I we were doing terribly together. I mean, we had the kids, but, we didn't enjoy our sex life. And so by this time, not knowing what the real issue, not realizing I was the common denominator in my life at that time, I didn't know that. Then I got involved with a man at work, um, and he was married and I was married, and so that was like climbing a mountain. And the irony of it was I still didn't learn what I needed to learn. So I spent 9 years with that man with the same issues. He had 3 children, I had two. And again, we had work in common. We were like Sonny and Cher. We were a very popular couple, but nobody knew that behind the scenes we had the same kind of issues. Because as you know, when you don't handle them, you get to do it again, right? So I got to do the same thing over again. So by 40, I had two divorces under my belt for the same reason, because I didn't know, or I picked somebody that couldn't communicate, for whatever, a combination of all of that. So by 40, I stood back and I said, Sophie, then I was Carol. I said, you have no idea who you are as a woman or as a wife. You know who you are as a sister, you know who you are as a partner to work and to get houses and stuff and travel, but you really don't know who you are, in the whole rounded balance thing. So I I stayed in Indiana until 1991. Let's see, 70 to 80, 80 to 90. After my second divorce, and the boys were becoming teens, young teen adolescents, and they were mad at me, and I didn't know what to do. And so I decided to come back to Cleveland, where my family and my mom and dad were. And so in 91, I came back to Cleveland, and 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 moved into this little apartment. And my brother helped me move, and as I was moving in, this person, I didn't even know who this person. I had my keys in the door of the apartment so we could go in and out easily. And somebody took my keys out of my apartment, out of that door. And so I had to go around, and this younger man brought them to me and said, oh, here, you left your keys in the door. And I'm thinking, can't you see I'm moving in? I did that on purpose. Well, lo and behold, that guy was 14 years younger than me. He was very artistically talented. He was a draftsman, but he had a good eye for photography. So, and he had just gotten back from Europe. I knew he was so talkative about his trip. So he was in the apartment right next door to me. So again, I get thrown into this situation, and he and I then, we were together 10 years. We ended up being together 10 years. And we got married at the end of the 10 years. Oh, this was me not listening again. We were good partners together, and we had art in common. And he was one of three kids, and he had recently lost a sister in a terrible boating accident on the lake. And his mom and dad were grieving, and he was feeling, I don't know what he was feeling because he couldn't talk about it. But so we were together 10 years, and we got married, even though he was the one at this point, he was the one that couldn't speak up. because we got married, and we were married 1 month, and he wouldn't move in. I had the bigger apartment, and he just wasn't moving his stuff in. And so I said, okay, what's the deal? How much? And we had lived together once before, but this time was different. He wasn't making any moves, right? And I said, so what's the deal? Why aren't you moving in? How much of you wants to be in your own apartment, and how much of you wants to be here with me? And he said 90%. 90% of him wanted to be at his own apartment. I didn't even let him, I barely let him finish the sentence. I said, come on, we're going to the library and we're looking for annulment papers. So by this time I was very vocal, right? But I wasn't listening because he did not want to get married. And he just couldn't make me see it. He could not just say, Sophie, Carol, whatever your name is, I do not ever want to get married. He could not say that. And I should have known. He stumbled over. I can laugh about it now. It wasn't funny at the time, but it kind of was. In the middle of the wedding service, he couldn't even speak his vows. He tripped over them. It's like, oh my God, how complicated are they? All you do is say, I do, or whatever. It was so funny as I think back. It's like, oh. So yeah, so we were married and divorced within a month. We went that Monday morning and filed papers, and it had a pretty calm legal divorce. And then one more time. I tried one more time, but this one wasn't legal. I never registered it. I dated a guy for about 2.5 years, and I remember telling him when we started dating, I met him through an art show, and this man, I saw him from across the room walk in the door of the room that I had the art show in, and I said to myself, oh my goodness, that man is as intense as I am. And don't you know, that was the truth. So he came in, he was a car guy. That's why he came. He saw the ad in the newspaper for the show, and the show was all about car parts. I painted car parts and made unusual stuff out of them. And so he followed me out after the show was over and kept asking me out. And I kept saying no, because I just knew he was such an intense character. So he got my phone number, and I gave him my phone number, and then I didn't hear from him for a while because he took his daughter to Europe. So when he came back from Europe, he called me and he insisted that I go out with him, go to a he wanted to go to a hockey game. And I said, no, thank you. I don't like hockey. I don't know anything about it. And in my head, I'm going, I'm never going to sleep with this guy, right? By this time, I was able to at least say that. I thought, I am never going to sleep with this guy, because he was kind of overweight, and he just was as intense as me. And I just thought, I don't need this. But anyway, he said, here's how he sweetened the pot. I was so easy then. He said, our tickets are going to be in the loge, meaning in the fancy box, right? Above the hockey, looking down at the hockey ice. And it's not just seats, it's a whole big room, and it's way fancy and all that kind of stuff. And I thought to myself, okay, I've never been in the loge before, I'll go. so we went, and I mean, I did have a good time. We were together 2.5 years. We had a fake marriage. We had a fake wedding. I asked my sister to stand up for me, and she said, I knew there was something wrong from the beginning, because she said, you never had me sign any paper, because your witnesses are supposed to sign some legal document. And I don't know, I made something up that she didn't have to sign. She goes, I knew something was wrong. So we were together 2.5 years, and then we parted ways over a car. I got upset about a car. I don't know. We were walking somewhere. We were walking, exercising, and something about this car. It wasn't really the car. It was me again having made. These were all good men. It was just I was changing so fast and not communicating as the best way I could, or we were on the same wavelength. But fortunately, all these were all good men. They all had good jobs. Nobody beat me, nobody hit me, nobody abused alcohol. That was all. I mean, we did silly stuff together, but it wasn't. It was me needing to go on, and obviously the boys needed to be born because they were the only children I had with John. And I learned a lot. Finally, by the end, I learned that other than the kids, maybe I should have stayed single. I don't know. Maybe I should have stayed single. As I look back now, I think Sophie's probably better off just being friends with people. But I wouldn't trade any of that. I had a lot of fun experiences with all of these people. And John, this day, the boy's dad, he's been married several times. He had a daughter with his second wife, who was much younger than him. And he drinks a lot now. He didn't when we were together, but he drinks quite a bit now. And I can tell when he's at that point, because he will text me and he will start reminiscing about college and being in one another's English class and how he enjoyed my family and all that kind of stuff. So I can always tell when John's going down memory lane. And I tease him and I say, John, you need to hang up now before you say, you need to stop texting before you say something that will get you in trouble, because he dates his third wife. They got divorced, but they still see one another. And I know that when he starts going down memory lane, he needs to stop, because he went through a lot to get back in her good graces. And I don't want to mess that up, so I cut him off and I say, go to sleep. And I try not to talk to him too much. And I don't like talking to him when he's in that frame of mind, because he says things that are inappropriate. He pushes the envelope. So the guy that the last man that I was telling you about, his name is Vincent. He and I saw one another after years and years. We went out and dated, but we're still too intense together. We just talk one another to death. We always have a good time. We always go to dinner, but and behind all of this, John and I were long divorced. Kyle and I were long divorced. Don and I were long divorced. But behind all of that, there was a man that I met in 1998 at work. And I don't know if I've ever told you this, but the first experience I ever had of recalling a past life, it had to be my first past life in this. It had to be my first past life in this consciousness, because there I was on the best way I could say, I was on the end of a star point and just kind of like hanging on the end of the star point, becoming conscious of myself. And I've never talked to anybody who has had the same experience, although I'm sure there are. So there I am, being conscious of myself, becoming conscious of myself. And I turn to the right, and eons and eons and eons over there is this person, is this man named Dean. And all I could see was he was in the same position. He was like hanging on the end of a star point too. And don't you know, years and years and years and years go by. He and I were ended up in Egypt together. And I was with my mother. I was not available. I was with my mother in a pyramid. And then in this lifetime, I met him at work, but he was not available. He had just a couple months before bought his own house, separated from his wife, not legally, but separated from his wife. So I met him in 98, right after he bought his house. Didn't see him for years and years. And then in like 10 years after that, after all of these other people were pretty much out of my mind, he would send me birthday cards or birthday messages. And so we spent some time, like I was single, but he was still legally attached to this woman. He didn't have when I met him at work, he said he hadn't had an intimate sexual relationship with her for years. And so we started to hang out, and then we started an intimate relationship, but I could not continue it because it was like playing house. He couldn't put himself 100% into it, and I wanted to, but he couldn't, because every time we were together, he would have to call his wife or something, or she would have to call him, and there were all these secrets. And it was worse than being married. It was worse than being married to someone. So I'm here to tell you that sexuality continues to this day to be the biggest concern for me getting back into a relationship. There have been a lot of, and here in West Virginia, there's nobody that I even met that I was interested in. All the people I meet that are attracted to me in one way or the other are married. And I'm not, I'm smart enough now not to go there. And I even say, trust me, to guys that think that they want to be in some kind of relationship, I say, you don't need me. Yeah, yes, we are friends. Yes, you help me with the yard, but you don't need Sophie in your life. And that's not downplaying me. That's just saying to them, trust me, you don't want to go there. You do not want to go there. So I have had a lot of wonderful men in my life, and I've had a chance to travel with them and have children with them and laugh with them and cry with them. And last June, I was in Cleveland. It was the last time that I saw my friend Dean, because I've tried to break up with him. I can't tell you how many times, and I just cannot do it, until finally last June, I said, this is it. I can't do this anymore. And but we hadn't had an intimate relationship for over 7 or 8 years. And he's the best way I can say is we have a lot in common. He's a editor, so we have words in common, we have music in common, we have art in common, but he's still attached. He's very attached to this lady through church, through their religion. He's a Greek Orthodox person. They're very attached. I don't know if it's still karmic, if they have stuff to learn. I even said to him, he and I even went to counseling together. And I said to him many times, why don't you go to Heidi? Why don't you go to counseling with her? And he says she won't go. Because I said, why don't you guys get together again? Why don't you live together? Why don't you build a house and you live in one wing and her live in the other? And they just can't do it. They just, at this point in their lives, they can't do it. So they have a daughter in common and they have church in common, and they must have a lot of karmic lessons to deal with yet. But so I said, why wait a year for me to tell you in a year, or for you to decide in a year you don't want to talk to me anymore? I talked to them the last time in June, and I said, I almost didn't even let him know I was coming to Cleveland, but I thought, with my luck, my car is impossible not to notice. With my luck, he'll see my car, and then he'll wonder why I wasn't honest telling him that I came to the city, right? And why didn't I call him? So I told him I was coming, but that I didn't want to see him. And he got really upset, and he said, well, too bad for you. This is all in a text. And I thought, oh, so I haven't talked to him or written to him or anything since June. And I said, happy retirement, happy selling your house. I'll know when you die. Spirit will tell me, just don't contact me anymore. And so I am doing my best to, he's still in my heart. I mean, if I love you, I will always love you. All those men that were in my life, of course, I still love them, but I just, I'm just at this point in my life where it's all about me being in this little town and helping the people that I help and being with Austin and the kids. If I met somebody that, was single and available, I don't know. I don't know what I would do, but I'm not. And it's not like it's not like I haven't had my opportunity to be in relationship. I have. It's just, I don't know that, one day I think, yeah, maybe I would like to meet somebody. And then the next day I go, no. So that's where I am. That's my relationship story.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm pretty content. I'm pretty content. I really don't feel like I'm missing out on anything.
Yeah.
I have a girlfriend in Florida who is an astrologer, and she asked me several years ago. She had me write down all the things that happened on my Saturn returns every 7 years, I think. And don't you know, they're all involved a sexual issue. There's all sexual issues at those points. So I came in with a lot to learn in that department, in the department of, intimacy and sexuality. So what I have noticed is I pour my sexuality into my artwork, my creativity, my sexuality into my artwork. And that's okay. If it's going to be different, it's going to be different. But for now, it's pretty obvious that that my creativity goes into my art.
Yesterday, the book link that I had shared. If you listen to that book, it deals a lot with this aspect that we don't want to talk, but in Indian culture, it is part of evolution. Sexuality is the first where somebody comes to know about the ultimate bliss that is to be experienced, but it is not at sexuality. It is just opening of the door. If you have that experience, it's okay. Not have that experience, it's okay. But it is not there. But you have to know that this is something, a little taste of it about the ultimate bliss that we deserve, each of us deserve to have. So it talks a lot about that. And as I told you, I'm surprised by having that book. I get surprises all my life, all the time, whenever.
Mm.
So it is one of those surprises. And whenever you have time, just if you don't have that patience, because it talks about many things which kind of seems to be not related to what actually is. But you will be interested. I was interested. I was listening to that from the beginning to the end without understanding a thing. But at
Okay.
one point of time, another surprise, another synchronicity, because I didn't know about this what you described today. But
Ye-
yesterday I heard, maybe it was meant to be told to you. That is why I heard yesterday
Okay. Okay.
that sexuality is something which you use to evolve. It is not that experiencing, it is about how to utilize that energy. There are
Mm.
7 energy centers in our
Yes.
body. The
Right.
lowest, the root chakra, the lowest center is where sexuality is.
Right.
It is not meant to be experienced there because it has better utility up when it goes up the energy chakra. So
Yes.
we need to know how to. Nobody can, if they experience, as you were saying, it is coming to my mind that if you would have experienced sexuality as it is, as everybody says that it is like that, you wouldn't have
Mm-hmm.
thought, or you won't be bothered to know what is beyond. So, if you can, because I think you can move that sexuality up your energy chakra up.
Yeah.
The process, maybe in that book it is there. And
Okay.
I don't know how, because each of us grasp things in a very different manner, and it was very surprising for me as to what it was describing. And I still can't comprehend what, but I'm still listening. Yesterday
Ye-
I heard, and I was just slipping off, and then I was listening to it, a few words here, there, and then it is like that till 12 or 2. I don't remember, but this is
Mm-hmm.
what I heard of that book. This is an audio book, so you don't have
Okay.
to. It is just an audio.
Okay.
Just play
Okay.
and do your work. You can do, and you'll be surprised to know what is there. You know,
Okay.
it says the rational mind cannot comprehend what is. So it is uh, just something to experience, which which the rational mind cannot experience. The senses that we have, it is beyond that. So we don't know anything like that in our experience, because we don't know
Mm.
what we don't
Yeah.
know. We haven't experienced means we are not yet there to experience.
r-
Why we
Right.
don't. So, but as you say, you are evolving, and there is a purpose, as you also know.
Mm-hmm.
Just think, who are those people who have experienced this and have written this? This is a Westerner person, it is not an Indian. That means
Okay.
people from all around the world have experienced this, uh, irrespective of where they are, where they were.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And just think of this, who were those kind of person? Who is that person who has experienced this? And in India also, a lot of people say you have to become a monk to know it, which means
Mm-hmm.
We are not talking about sexuality. You don't have to be sexually um, engaged or evolved to know this. You don't have.
Mm-hmm.
All these
Mm.
people were utilizing their sexuality to reach to that level, to experience that.
Yeah.
In India, there are several temples where all these Kama Sutra, no? All these
Mm-hmm.
things are in sculptures in the
Yes.
images. Why
Yes.
those were there? One wonders why those, like say, objectionable sculpting had to be there in a temple itself.
Mm-hmm.
It is because of that. How those people who knew it would have told you about this in a
Yeah.
simplest manner. This is the way.
Yeah.
So, and I was just watching one video. It just passed through. Just when I was just so scrolling all my videos as I do. I do one,
Mm-hmm.
one other place where they were trying to uh, arouse your energy, which means
Mm-hmm.
started from root chakra, means it was like sexuality, and that girl was feeling it in a very heightened sense or something. She was
Mm-hmm.
experiencing her body was kind of convulsing, and when
Mm-hmm.
it was directed upwards, then she calmed down, and her experience was different. So
Yeah.
what she was experiencing from her expression, I was trying to see. And then
Yeah.
afterwards, I tried to think it is something beyond. Many people, when this happens, when their sexuality um is aroused, they stop at that. They
Yeah.
somehow kind of consume it, you can say, and then they finish it off. The energy is done. But
Mm-hmm.
this particular audiobook says that that energy needs to evolve to the next stage. And then
Yeah.
the
That.
moment you allow it to go to the next stage,
Yeah.
you win over that
I,
energy.
I agree because I think my focus now is more of a spiritual, much higher. I operate from my higher chakras, and I'm grateful for what I learned uh, about about life and about sexuality, but right now my main concern is here, and and being able to talk about it for sure. So yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, I can see the evolution, and I do believe that, like you're saying, that you can raise that energy and transform it for sure.
So I think that is the purpose. Like you are deprived of something for a reason, and you uh, maybe maybe that time we don't realize why, but then afterwards we slowly realize what are the scheme of things,
Yeah. Yeah.
uh, and if this is so, if that book can give you that hint as to how to do it. And I found another book of the same uh, author,
Hmm.
but it was the beginner book. This was an advanced book.
Oh.
And can you see I can see the link also. If I would have seen the earlier book first, which should be the in the sequence, I wouldn't have seen that. I wouldn't have heard that book at all, audio book,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
this is this book and I understand nothing, but have heard about 4 hours of it already. It is a 10 hours audiobook
Oh, okay.
without understanding anything. That means
Yeah.
I'm fascinated about the subject, which doesn't
Yeah.
which hasn't conveyed anything to me at all so far,
Hmm.
except this particular thing.
Well, thank you for passing it on. I'm sure I'll be interested. There's more that I want to tell you about. There's more in my head that I want to tell you, but I got to get going. I got to get in the shower and
Yeah.
get my.
So if you are okay tomorrow, then also we can speak.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, fine. After 8, we can speak. Definitely.
Okay. Let's see. Tomorrow is the 18th, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm trying to think. There's something going on tomorrow, but I'm trying to remember if it's online. Yeah, tomorrow should be fine, and I'll let you know if it's not, but it should be good. 8-ish is good for you,
Yeah.
or do you need it to be a little later than 8?
No, I don't mind. At 8, I am home, so
Okay.
I'm okay. Yeah.
Okay. All right. All
Okay.
right. Have a good day.
You too.
See you soon. Bye.